What's up, everyone? This is Dan Norman with Inside Boxing, and today I want to talk about the recent announcement with Dana White, Turki Alalshikh, and TKO joining forces. And wow, they're going to become a three-headed monster that's going to try and take over the boxing world. They want to start a boxing league, and I think that they're going to try and look for talent at all levels. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out and how the rest of the boxing world is going to react to this. Now, a couple things I'm a little confused by based on some of the statements made yesterday was Turki was alluding to that you don't need to have three letters on a belt in order to justify yourself as the number one champion, and that you only need one belt. So he's basically alluding to the four sanctioning bodies, which are the WBC, WBO, WBA, IBF, and that their involvement is no longer relevant, that you only need one belt. Now, the interesting thing about that is Turki Alalshikh is actually working with Mauricio Suleiman and the WBC on the Grand Prix tournament. So he's working with them while somewhat insinuating that their time is over. So it's quite confusing based on the announcement made yesterday. And the way he was talking to Dana White was as if Dana White is going to have the power to take over boxing and he's going to bulldoze through everyone. So I'm very interested to see what happens with these sanctioning bodies and the promoters that Turki Alalshikh has been working with. Is he going to work with Dana White and create this new boxing league and try to take over boxing while working with other sanctioning bodies such as the WBC and some of the other promoters on these one-off shows? So it's kind of confusing. It's a bit of a conflict of interest, and I think that this is going to create some type of chaos in boxing because the other promoters such as Matchroom, Top Rank, PBC, Golden Boy, Queensberry Promotions, they're not going to be involved in this whole boxing league with Dana White as far as I'm aware. One thing I find very interesting is Turki Alalshikh recently bought Ring Magazine off Oscar De La Hoya, who was a former owner, and now he's taken that brand with him and joined forces with Dana White, which is Oscar's arch enemy. So it's interesting to see how that plays out, if they're going to use the Ring Magazine as the lead branding for their boxing league. The other thing to consider is who are Dana White, Turki Alalshikh going to join forces with when it comes to networks? Are they going to make a deal with ESPN now that Top Rank is gone? Are they going to make a deal with Netflix? You know, there's a lot of moving parts. Right now, DAZN has quite a few promoters under their belt, and it sounds like they're going to get Queensberry as well. So they're going to have a lot of promotional events under their umbrella, and they're going to be able to host it on their platform. So, you know, I think with all these announcements that boxing is not going to be fixed. I don't think boxing will ever be fixed unless the Saudis can buy out every single promoter and buy all the contracts and have all the fighters. And they do have a lot of money, so you never know. You can never say never, but my opinion is I think boxing will always be fragmented. I think this announcement yesterday is good overall because it brings more attention to boxing with the UFC entering the boxing game. It's going to be interesting to see how he sets it up. Boxing leagues are very difficult to do because you have to deal with suspensions. So if a fighter gets suspended who's supposed to move on to the next round or whatever you want to call it, it's going to be difficult if they're injured, and it compromises the whole integrity of the league structure. So that's something that they're going to have to think out and plan for. So another hurdle that Dana White's going to have to overcome coming into the boxing world is how he's going to deal with the Ali Act, because he's used to not having to deal with it in the MMA community as it's only related to the boxing world. And there's going to be a lot of issues that he's going to run into if he tries to set up the same structure that he has in the UFC. All right, so my final thoughts on this whole announcement. I think it's very good for boxing at the end of the day. If you can draw more eyeballs to the sport, create more opportunities on different platforms, you know, you can't complain about that. That's awesome. I'm really interested to see what Dana White's plan is and if he's going to try and bring in the same type of structure that he has with the UFC. So, you know, boxing is very fragmented. At the end of the day, I don't think you will ever be able to fully control the sport. It's just too big, too international. There's too many other promoters and sanctioning bodies and people with money. So somebody's always going to try and compete. But the question is, are they going to be the dominant force? With this latest announcement by Turki Alalshikh and Dana White, do you think this is a positive for the boxing world, or do you think it's a negative? If so, why? Let me know in the comments section below.